slickly produced podcast interview published this week, Ivanka Trump talked about her latest real estate project, what she described as an unbelievable, beautiful 400-hectare private island in the middle of the Mediterranean, plus 5 beautiful miles of Albanian beachfront intended to become resorts and hotels. But the project, backed by the US president's daughter and son-in-law, Jared Kushner, includes planned development of a protected natural area along the coast across from the island, which conservation groups say has already damaged the beautiful area Trump was praising. Pope Leo XIV arrives Saturday in Spain, where he is expected to focus on the treatment of migrants and polarization in politics, themes likely to cement his pontificate as a counterweight to the Trump administration. The first American Pope's June 6 to 12 trip will see him visit migrant centres, address Spain's parliament at a time of intense polarization in the country, and make a visit to the iconic Sagrada Familia Basilica in Barcelona. It's also expected that he'll meet clerical sexual abuse survivors.
Observers across the world have long questioned the utility of Donald Trump's now 3-month-old war on Iran. But a growing number of voices from within the US president's Republican Party are saying that this futile and illegal conflict must end. A resolution calling for the withdrawal of US troops from Iran passed narrowly in the Republican-controlled House of Representatives recently, with 4 members of the US leader's own party backing the resolution. The move has expectedly incensed Mr. Trump, who called it unpatriotic. Since the start of the war, most American lawmakers had only mildly been criticizing the joint US-Israeli attack on the Islamic Republic. But now, with US midterm elections in November inching closer, both Republican and Democratic lawmakers want to avoid the voters' wrath at the ballot box. The good physician treats the disease. The great physician treats the patient who has the disease. Sir William Osler, 1849-1919. In 1986, Carlo Petrini founded the slow food movement in Italy to counteract the so-called fast food by promoting local food cultures, traditional cooking and sustainable farming. Inspired by this, the concept of slow medicine took birth, a patient-centered approach to healthcare that prioritizes time, listening, and comprehensive care over rapid, high-tech, intensive interventions. It emphasizes quality, patient's context, and shared decision-making to avoid hurried, unnecessary, harmful treatments.
Approves 100 BN financing facility for PSO. Oil company facing over 900 BN receivables from SOEs. Special honoraria expanded to more ministries, departments, Rs 10s. 15 BN cleared for Pakistan Navy's Hangul project. 4.38 BN granted to Gilgit-Baltistan ahead of elections, Islamabad. Less than a week before the next budget, the Economic Coordination Committee, ECC, of the Cabinet on Friday approved more than 40 billion in supplementary grants and a 100 BN sovereign guarantee-backed financing facility for the Pakistan State Oil, PSO, which is facing over 900 BN in receivables from other state-owned enterprises, raising concerns about smooth oil supplies.
Party think tank seeks Rs 1.2 million exemption threshold for salaried individuals, calls for abolishing the super tax and reducing GST to 15%, demands capping petroleum levy at 50 per litre as Islamabad. In a shift from its earlier stance of non-engagement, the Pakistan Tehreek-i-Insaf has unveiled its budget proposals for 2026-27, calling for relief to the salaried class, sharp reductions in government expenditure and wide-ranging reforms to what it describes as a fiscal framework that has burdened taxpayers without ensuring economic stability.
Quetta. The Balochistan High Court on Friday suspended the implementation of a First Information Report, FIR, registered against leader of the opposition in the National Assembly, Mehmood Khanachakzai, while admitting his constitutional petition for regular hearing. A BHC division bench headed by Chief Justice Mohammed Kamran Molokhkhail heard the petition challenging the FIR lodged against Mr. Achakzai by police in Kila Abdullah district. Following preliminary arguments, the court ordered the suspension of the FIR's implementation and issued notices to the provincial government and other respondents for the next hearing.
After a very profitable decade on Microsoft's board, Reid Hoffman is stepping down, the company announced Thursday. Hoffman joined the board after Microsoft bought his company LinkedIn for $26.2 billion in 2016. Hoffman was on Microsoft's board when it invested its first $1 billion into OpenAI in 2019. Hoffman was one of OpenAI's original investors and served on the model maker's board until he stepped down in 2023, citing too many potential conflicts of interest to continue. He was also on Microsoft's board when the tech giant entered into one of those non-acquisition, acqui-hire deals for $650 million with his AI startup Inflection AI. Microsoft hired Inflection co-founder Mustafa Suleyman through that deal.
UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has hit out at people trying to interfere in our democracy after US Vice President. Jade Vans waded into a national controversy by blaming mass migration for the recent murder of a student. The killing of Henry Nowak, an 18-year-old white student, sparked a national outcry after it emerged that police officers had handcuffed him as he lay dying, inflicted by Sikh Mine Oi Vikram Digwai, a 23-year-old Sikh man, in an attack late last year.
United States President Donald Trump has sought to reassure farmers hard hit by tariffs and the economic fallout of the US-Israeli war with Iran during a visit to Wisconsin. The stop in Chippewa Falls on Friday for a farming roundtable comes months before the midterm elections in November. Trump was seeking to bolster support for Republican US Representative Derek Van Orden, who has been targeted by Democrats hoping to take control of the chamber.
South American electoral authorities may want to consider the soccer calendar when setting the date for the next vote. That seemed to be the lesson from Colombia, where the excitement for its first World Cup outing since 2018 spilled into the political arena ahead of a presidential runoff on June 21.
Israel's military carried out a spate of attacks in Gaza, continuing its bombardment despite the ceasefire that remains in place on paper, as Palestinian factions prepare to convene in Egypt to discuss the enclave's future. In Friday morning's attack, an Israeli drone killed a young woman and injured at least 15 others in the southern Khan Yunis area, according to the Palestinian Wafa news agency.
Italy's Flavio Cobolli said he was sad and happy at the same time after reaching his first Grand Slam final at the French Open on Friday, following the last-minute withdrawal due to illness of his last four opponent and compatriot Matteo Arnaldi. The 24-year-old 10th seed will meet Alexander Zverev in Sunday's final, which will produce a new major champion after the German second seed earlier moved past Jakub Mensik in the other semi-final. Iran's World Cup football players have been granted visas to enter the United States, according to a White House official, just 10 days before their first match in Los Angeles amid a conflict between the two countries. Iran's ambassador to Mexico, Abolfazl Pasandideh, said late on Thursday the squad had still not received their US visas, but these were granted overnight, the White House official said.
A former IBM cybersecurity executive accused the company of getting hacked 3 times in the previous decade by foreign governments and then covering up the breaches in a lawsuit unsealed this week, but filed in 2020. William Barlow, who was IBM's vice president of threat intelligence until August 2019, said IBM concluded Chinese hackers breached its core network between 2013 and 2016, but that the company then covered up the breaches and never disclosed them. Barlow also said at least 2 IBM subsidiaries were also breached and that IBM covered up those breaches as well.
WhatsApp is rolling out Meta Business AI Agent, an AI-powered assistant that helps businesses automate customer support and manage conversations with customers. The feature is now available to businesses worldwide, regardless of their size. It works with the latest WhatsApp business updates for Android and iOS. Businesses that do not see the feature on the latest tools page should update WhatsApp Business to the latest version.
Wall Street's 9-week winning streak ended with a a thud on Friday as red-hot technology stocks suffered their largest daily decline this year after a hot May jobs of a hawkish policy pisment from the US Federal Reserve. Selling was concentrated among chip stocks and other technology favourites that have surged higher in recent weeks, as the Nasdaq Composite Index and S&P 500 rose repeatedly to fresh highs. India's youth have had enough after years of exam scandals, persistently high unemployment and opportunities slipping further out of reach. Simmering frustration is boiling into open anger online and on the streets, and a demand for accountability that many say they can no longer ignore.
Anthropic is proposing that the world's top artificial intelligence companies come up with a coordinated way to pause development of advanced AI systems, warning that the technology is improving so quickly. The company behind the Claude chatbot said in a blog post on Thursday that, as cutting-edge AI gets increasingly faster at carrying out tasks, it would be good for the world to have the option to slow or temporarily pause its development.
French anti-terrorism prosecutors say they have opened a preliminary investigation into suspected tort and war crimes over Israel's alleged mistreatment of French activists who took part in a Gaza-bound aid flotilla last month. The probe was opened on Friday following a referral from the Foreign Ministry late last month, said the National Counter-Terrorism Prosecutor's Office, PNAT, after activists on the global Sumud flotilla accused Israeli authorities of severe mistreatment during their detention. Founders, your window to enter Startup Battlefield 200 closes in just 3 short days. Applications for Startup Battlefield 200 officially close on June 8, 11:59 p.m. PT. Now's not the time to wait any longer. Secure your shot at competing on the Disrupt stage at TechCrunch. Disrupt 2026 this October at San Francisco's Moscone West.
Russian President Vladimir Putin has said he does not see any point in meeting Volodymyr Zelensky after the Ukrainian leader requested face-to-face talks over ending the war between the two nations. Zelensky sent an open letter on Thursday calling for direct negotiations with Putin, writing that it was wrong to simply wait for the war, which began with Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022, to become the focus of US attention once more.
Russia's President Vladimir Putin has turned down an offer for in-person talks with his Ukrainian counterpart Volodymyr Zelensky, saying he sees no point in such a meeting for now. Putin delivered the remarks during Russia's flagship economic forum in St. Petersburg on Friday, a day after Zelensky shared an open letter appealing for a face-to-face meeting in which the two leaders could hash out an end to the war.
Israel is still attacking Lebanon. Even after the United States announced another ceasefire, Hezbollah has continued fighting too, though it was not part of talks between the Israeli and Lebanese governments in Washington.
A federal judge has struck sweeping restrictions imposed by the administration of US President Donald Trump on immigration processing for 39 countries. The ruling on Friday by District Judge John McConnell condemned the restrictions imposed in November 2025, following the Washington, D.C. shooting of 2 National Guard members. SpaceX has lined up another compute deal ahead of its historic IPO, this time with Google. The company announced the deal in a regulatory filing on Friday. Under the terms of the deal, Google will pay SpaceX $920 million per month from October 2026 through June 2029 for access to approximately 110,000 NVIDIA GPUs, CPUs, memory, and other related components. As summer begins and mosquitoes return in force, artificial intelligence is now being used in an attempt to fight them. Inventor Stephen Cheng has developed a series of prototypes that use machine learning to identify, track, and kill mosquitoes with lasers. He has been sharing the project on X, where he has posted videos of the mobile mosquito defense system.